I don't know, but I get email like at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to start charging for reading email.
If I read them?
Everybody.
I'm gonna try it.
Isn't it gonna be quiet?
Huh?
Isn't it gonna be quiet?
Trust me, I'm well aware.
Hey Josh, you're on live
Okay.
Instagram.
Then I'm going to stand over here.
I mean, 12 people saw it.
Okay, well, the 12 people are my fans.
I was just kidding. I mean, it is true.
It is true.
Just kidding.
We'll get started in a few minutes.
Yeah. Good to see you guys later.
What is the positive?
All right.
Not good for nine.
Everybody, we're get started. We've got 4 speakers for you today, giving you an update on the cases related to the protests in the past couple of weeks. We've got the district attorney, the U.S. attorney, representative of the CHP, and LAPD. DA Nathan Hochman. We will also have a chance for Spanish at the end, a statement in Spanish, and then you can ask questions of Maria Ramirez, our agent.
Thank you very much. My name is Nathan Hochman. I'm the District Attorney of Los Angeles County. You will hear speaking today the United States Attorney Bill Essayli. We will also have speaking the California Highway Patrol Southern Division Chief Chris Margaris. We will also have Los Angeles Police Department Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton. Also up here amongst us are representatives from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We have members from the District Attorney's Office, including our Charge Evaluation Division Deputy Head, or Head Deputy Alva Lynn, Deputy District Attorney Michael Blake of the Crimes Against Peace Officers Division. We are here to announce additional charges beyond the ones that we presented at our original press conference. In announcing these charges, I want to be crystal clear, as I am at every one of these conferences. Charges are not evidence. Every defendant we're going to be discussing is presumed innocent until and unless proven by legally admissible evidence beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law. So if you hear us describing anything about a particular case, it is not evidence. These statements themselves will not be used in a court of law. Evidence will be presented to a judge or a jury in an appropriate time to convict someone beyond a reasonable doubt. So, first I'd like to start out with a thank you. I want to start out with a thank you because I think it's incredibly important to thank the hundreds of law enforcement officers that have come to Los Angeles at this important time, and to Los Angeles County. And it's not just the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, which has done incredible work, or the Los Angeles Police Department, or the California Highway Patrol. But we've also been joined by the ATF, and we have the special assistant in charge, the special agent in charge, Kenny Cooper from the ATF, who has joined us today. We've also been supported by the FBI. We've also been supported by 45 local law enforcement agencies throughout this county. It has been a tremendous amount of work to keep order, to allow protests to occur. Those protests have grown from hundreds of people to thousands of people to tens of thousands of people to hundreds of thousands of people. And I'm here to tell you that 99.99% of the people who protested did so lawfully, did so expressing their First Amendment rights, as is tradition in this country, voicing their thoughts, their opposition, their whatever to the government, as they are allowed to in this country. This right, we come to appreciate this right when we see it being denied in other countries. And we realize what an incredibly valuable constitutional right we have to protest against anything we find disagreeable in our system, but to do it absolutely lawfully. But what you'll hear, and I gave you this initial idea when we had our first press conference on it, Mr. Essayli gave additional thoughts with respect to the federal charges that have been brought. The LA City Attorney's Office has given her additional thoughts with city attorney charges that have been brought against a relatively small segment. And when I say relatively small segment of people who've committed criminal violations, these are people for whom the protest was a cover. They weren't interested in protesting. They weren't interested in joining the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that wanted to legitimately voice their concerns about what's going on in society. This smaller group, which numbers probably in the hundreds, not even in the thousands, this group wanted to commit crimes. They looked at the protests as a cover an opportunity to go ahead and ply their illegal trade and commit a whole variety of crimes that in many ways has done a huge disservice to the legitimate protesters out there. And what you're going to hear is that sometimes those legitimate protesters have reared up their heads and helped us identify these criminals, as well they should. Because the media would only like to focus, quite candidly, on the fireworks being exploded, on the motorcycles running into law enforcement, on the incredible graffiti that is in many ways destroyed or certainly desecrated our historic buildings, on other situations, and you'll hear some of these additional charges being described today, of these few numbers of people who want to make it seem like Los Angeles is under siege. It is not. As I said before, 99.9% or 99% of people who protested did so legitimately, did so peacefully. And by the way, as a percentage of people in Los Angeles County, we have close to 11 million people in the county. 10% would be 1.1 million people. 1% is 110,000 people. We had 1/2 of 1% of the people in this county at most were protesting at all. So let's put that number back in context. 99.95% of people in this county didn't protest at all. Yet if you look at the media, the social media, the podcast, you would assume by their focus and their repeating over and over and over again of what's going on that Los Angeles was a war zone, no different than some real war zones across this world. Nothing could be further from the truth. But we're going to announce additional charges today, both myself, Mr. Essayli, the CHP and the LAPD, to give you an idea of the types of crimes that have been committed and will absolutely be prosecuted. The first, I will announce 5 of them. Mr. Essayli will announce several others. The first one I want to focus on is by an individual named William Rubio. William Rubio is 23 years old. He has been charged with 2 felony counts of assault upon a police officer and 2 felony counts of using a destructive device to injure or destroy. Now let me describe the charges that have been alleged against Mr. Rubio. On the night of June 8th, there was a dumpster that was set on fire at 1st and Spring Street. Undercover officers observed Mr. Rubio allegedly throwing fireworks at the Los Angeles Fire Department and the Los Angeles Police Department personnel who responded to put the fire out. Mr. Rubio left the scene, but was spotted 30 minutes later, allegedly throwing fireworks at Los Angeles Police Department motor officers who were on a skirmish line. He was arrested, and when he was arrested, in his backpack, they found 20 individual fireworks. These included 11 M1000 quarter sticks. For anyone who understands fireworks, you have fireworks that range from the least explosive, an M80, an M100. These were 11 M1000 fire sticks, these quarter sticks. These quarter sticks are basically a quarter stick of dynamite. These are lethal devices, destructive devices. And had any of these been thrown in a person's direction, they very well could have killed or maimed that person. That was what Mr. Rubio was doing the night of June 8th, and Mr. Rubio was arrested. He was charged with these crimes, and if convicted as charged, Mr. Rubio faces up to 8 years and 8 months in prison. The second case involves Terrell Tillis, 30 years old. He's been charged with 1 felony count of possession of a firearm by a felon and 1 misdemeanor count of giving or receiving a large capacity magazine. On the night of June 11th, Mr. Tillis was in downtown Los Angeles, and he was detained for being out past a Los Angeles City mandated curfew. He allegedly had this loaded firearm with him that had 15 rounds in the magazine. If convicted as charged, Mr. Tillis is facing up to 6 years and 6 months in prison. Third defendant, Antonia De La Rosa, age 44. He's been charged with one felony count of discharging a laser at an aircraft. On the night of June 12th, Mr. De La Rosa has been alleged to be in the area of a protest in San Pedro. He allegedly pointed a green laser at a Los Angeles Police Department helicopter several times. If convicted as charged, he faces up to 3 years in prison. Fourth defendant, Eddie Lee Baldwin, age 39. He has been charged with one felony count of second-degree commercial burglary. On the night of June 9th, Mr. Baldwin is accused of being among many dozens of people who forced their way into an Apple store in downtown Los Angeles to loot that store. He faces up to 6 years in prison. And the fifth defendant is Adam Palermo. I will describe that case. Mr. Essayli will also describe the federal aspects of that case. Mr. Palermo, and he is featured in the video you have before you as well, was an individual who's 39 years old. He's been charged with 4 felony counts of assault with a deadly weapon on a peace officer, 1 felony count of arson, and 1 felony count of vandalism. On the night of June 8th, Mr. Palermo is accused of throwing a large rock at a California Highway Patrol vehicle from an overpass on the 101 freeway. He also allegedly lit an object on fire and threw it at a CHP SUV that was parked on the freeway. That vehicle caught fire. In this case, what you will hear is an anonymous tip from Crime Stoppers is what helped law enforcement identify, locate, and arrest Mr. Palermo. If convicted as charged on the state charges, he faces up to 9 years and 8 months in state prison. Mr. Palermo's case basically can be viewed in 3 different ways. Call it timing, techniques, and consequences. On timing, we have promised you that the charges are coming. And for anybody who's committed these crimes who wasn't arrested at that moment in time, we have told those folks that we are coming for you. And Mr. Palermo's case is an example of exactly that. That though he did not get arrested at that exact moment in time, you see behind me and throughout this entire county, law enforcement officers who are going to track down these criminals, arrest them, bring their cases to the U.S. attorney, to the district attorney, to the city attorney. We will then prosecute those cases, convict these individuals, and they will be punished. So on timing, the warning to all those criminals out there who've committed the crimes, we're coming after you. And to the people out there who are thinking about committing these crimes, please don't. Please heed this warning. The second thing is techniques. One of the things we discussed in the last press conference was how law enforcement is going to actually go ahead and find all these individuals. This exact case is an example of that. Crime Stoppers. 2 individuals contacted Crime Stoppers and provided anonymously information showing linking the social media sites for Mr. Palermo to the activities that were publicized by the media of an individual who was masked, who was throwing objects from the freeway onto the CHP cars. They followed up with these anonymous tips. They linked in all the social media video, all the video footage from the media, all the cell phone cameras that had been recording this. Hundreds or thousands of cameras have been out there. Law enforcement's going to get this evidence. And when they get this evidence, they're going to find these people behind these masks, behind these coverings, who thought they could go ahead and commit these crimes with impunity. Now they're going to realize something different. And the third point about the Palermo case and these other cases are the consequences. Mr. Palermo has basically said that he thought this was his most productive day. Literally, causing this damage, committing these crimes was his most productive day. What he's going to learn is that when we bring the evidence in court and we convict him beyond a reasonable doubt, and a judge sentences him to jail or prison, that he can think long and hard as he's sitting there in a jail or a prison about what a great productive day he had. It was not a productive day. It was a day of destruction, a day of violating the laws, and it will be eventually a day of accountability. Now let me turn this over to our United States Attorney, Bill Essayli.
Thank you, Mr. District Attorney. Good afternoon or good morning. I'm Bill Essayli. I'm the United States Attorney for the Central District of California. I am very proud to stand here today with our state and federal law enforcement partners. We are united in our efforts to ensure that individuals that choose to cause violence and destruction in our communities are held accountable. And you've seen us do that over the last week. And we're here today to continue doing that and to announce more charges. We have zero tolerance for violence. As the district attorney said, you have an absolute right to peacefully protest. You have no right to destroy property or to engage in acts of violence, especially at our law enforcement officers. Since June 6, 2025, my office, working with federal and state partners, have charged more than 20 individuals with federal crimes for engaging in violent conduct, obstructing enforcement operations, or supporting acts of violence. Let me highlight a few of the cases we filed over the last few days. On Friday, we took custody of Mr. Alejandro Orellana for his role in supporting the violent protest in downtown Los Angeles. On June 9th, he drove his truck downtown with an unidentified woman to hand out large quantities of face shields to individuals who appear to be engaged in violence and vandalism. He was not handing them out to peaceful protesters. His actions were captured on video, posted on social media, and observed by Los Angeles County Sheriff's deputies. These face shields are designed to protect from chemical splashes and flying debris, which helps protect violent agitators from less than lethal weapons deployed by law enforcement. When the FBI executed a search warrant at his home, they found a powerful wrist rocket-style slingshot and ammunition for the slingshot, including a bag of rocks and containers of metal BBs, a can of spray paint, plastic goggles, and a notebook with the words 1312 Blue Lives Matter 187. 1312 is an abbreviation for All Cops Are Bastards, while 187 is a common slang term for murder. He has been charged with a violation of 18 United States Code Section 371, conspiracy to commit civil disorder, and 18 United States Code Sections 231A3 and 2, aiding and abetting in civil disorders. Each of those charges carries a 5-year statutory maximum sentence. As I mentioned last week, much of the violence has been directed at law enforcement, police officers who are just trying to do their jobs and protect the community. As you saw in the news, on June 8th, our highway patrol officers were violently and viciously attacked by individuals from an overpass above the 101 freeway, throwing rocks and explosive devices and lighting CHP cars on fire. On Friday, federal agents in the CHP arrested Mr. Adam Charles Palermo for his role in the attack on our CHP officers. Palermo was caught on video participating in the attack. His social media account contained a collage of photographs and videos depicting a man holding flying debris, a CHP patrol car on fire, and various other damage to CHP patrol cars. In the caption, he wrote, "All of the protests I've been involved in, which is well over 100 now, I'm most proud of what I did today." Mr. Palermo is charged with a violation of 18 United States Code Section 844I, attempted arson of a vehicle used in interstate or foreign commerce. He faces a mandatory minimum penalty of 5 years and a statutory maximum penalty of 20 years. He will not be doing any protests for the next foreseeable future. Another case filed yesterday involves an individual who spit on a military serviceman and a law enforcement officer. On Saturday, California National Guard and federal police were outside the federal building on Los Angeles Street trying to protect federal property. Angus Johnson confronted a California National Guardsman, and after heckling him, he spit on him. Johnson then spit on other federal police officers present who were trying to keep the peace. As our president said, if you spit, we hit, and we will hit you with a felony. Mr. Johnson is charged with assaulting a federal agent in violation of 18 United States Code Section 111. He faces a maximum sentence of 8 years in prison. We have dozens of ongoing investigations, and we are continuing our work to identify individuals who engaged in violence. Their masks, their face shields will not save them. We will find them, and we will go to their home, and we will arrest them. That is a promise I make to the community. I want to thank our law enforcement men and women. I want to thank our National Guard and the military for their service in keeping us safe. I want to thank the federal agents for their hard work, which they continue to do each and every day. They do not deserve to be treated the way in which they were the last week, and we're not going to put up with it. We have great working relationships with our local law enforcement partners, LAPD, the sheriffs, CHP, the district attorney's office, and we will work together to make sure we get the most aggressive and appropriate sentence for each of these violent actors. Thank you very much.
Good morning, and thank you all for being here. I'm Chris Margaris. I am the Southern Division Chief for the California Highway Patrol. First, I want to extend my sincere appreciation to Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman and U.S. Attorney Bill Essayli, as well as all the other agencies standing here with us today. Their continued commitment to public safety and the safety of our officers reflects the strength of our partnership and a unified front in response to the recent events in Los Angeles. Over the past week, the California Highway Patrol has been fully engaged in maintaining public safety amid a series of protests across the state and here in Los Angeles. Let me be clear. While we uphold and protect the constitutional right to free speech and peaceful assembly, we will not and do not tolerate violence, criminal conduct, or any act that threatens the safety of the public or our officers. Today I'm announcing the arrest of Adam Palermo of Los Angeles by the California Highway Patrol Major Crime Detectives for his role in a violent attack on CHP personnel. Palermo is accused of throwing rocks at our officers and participating in the arson of a marked CHP patrol vehicle. These are not protest actions. These are serious felonies and direct threats to public safety. We are pursuing full accountability under the law for violent crimes. In addition, the California Highway Patrol has made multiple arrests related to reckless driving incidents that occurred directly in front of our Special Response Team officers and protesters during recent events. These drivers deliberately engaged in dangerous maneuvers that placed everyone nearby, officers, protesters, and bystanders, in immediate danger. That is not protest. It is reckless criminal behavior. Vehicles have been impounded for 30 days, and criminal charges are being recommended for each of the individuals involved. Let me emphasize this is far from over. Our investigation is active and ongoing. CHP detectives continuing to review evidence, examine video footage, identify additional suspects, and pursue charges for those incited and carried out violence against our officers and engaged in criminal acts during these demonstrations. Anyone who assaulted a peace officer, destroyed property, or threatened public safety will be identified and held fully accountable. We are asking for the public help. If you witness any criminal activity during these demonstrations or have any information that may assist our investigators, please call our Major Crimes Tip line at 323-259-3200. Tips can be made anonymously, and every lead will be pursued. To the people of California, we are here to protect your right to speak and be heard. But those who choose to exploit public demonstrations and invite violence, attack officers, or create chaos, know this: we are coming for you. Your actions will not go unanswered. Our officers have shown professionalism, courage, restraint under intense and dangerous circumstances. I'm incredibly proud of the men and women in the California Highway Patrol. We remain unwavering in our mission to provide the highest level of safety, service, and security for everyone who lives and works and travels in the state. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton. I'm the Chief of Detectives for the Los Angeles Police Department. I want to open up first with thanking our law enforcement partners, the hard work done by the Los Angeles Police Department officers, Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, California Highway Patrol, and numerous other agencies that came in on a mutual aid basis to assist in keeping this city safe. On behalf of the Los Angeles Police Department, we want to thank them for all their hard work, the sacrifice they've done, over these last few days to make this city, this region, and this state safe. Our hats go off to all of our partners that responded when the call went out to assist, arrived in this city within hours, and assisted us in restoring order to this city. The city of Los Angeles is a peaceful and orderly city and the Los Angeles Police Department will keep it that way. We want to thank our partners in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the District Attorney's Office, and the City Attorney's Office in assisting us on the other side of our investigations with effective and meaningful prosecution and consequences. And as my partners have discussed, these investigations that we have initiated as results of this criminal activity will continue. As I stand here and speak, our investigators are continuing to identify individuals that were involved in violent activity and looting activity in the downtown area, and we will be making additional arrests, and we will be arresting additional suspects and bringing them to justice as well as we have in these cases that we're discussing today. The Los Angeles Police Department supports the right to peacefully protest, but when individuals choose to engage in violence, arm themselves, or endanger others, including officers and community members, we will act and we will seek prosecution. Pointing a laser at an aircraft is not a prank. It's a felony and a serious public safety threat. When a laser hits the cockpit of an LAPD helicopter, it can temporarily blind or disorient the pilot even at high altitude or at speed. In low-flying urban environments like Los Angeles, this creates an extremely dangerous situation where momentary loss of vision can lead to a crash that puts lives at risk on the ground and with our air crews. This behavior is not only reckless, it can blind a pilot and cause a catastrophic crash. A crash caused by a laser strike could impact homes, traffic, businesses, or peaceful gatherings below. These incidents also jeopardize the safety of officers on the ground who rely on aerial support for real-time intelligence during emergency, crimes in progress, and crowd management. Unfortunately, we're seeing an increase in the use of laser pointers at protests and during incidents where individuals appear to be intentionally targeting law enforcement. This is not accidental or careless. It is often deliberate interference with law enforcement operations, and it has all the hallmarks of criminal intent. In the case of Mr. De La Rosa, the laser was reportedly aimed at the LAPD airship multiple times, demonstrating a clear disregard for human life and operational safety. I will tell you that I was out there that night when that happened at approximately 11 p.m. And I know a lot of people see Los Angeles police officers and other law enforcement agencies with the tinted glasses when we're at these protests. We have had law enforcement officers sustain career-ending and life-damaging injuries to their eyes as a result of laser strikes on the ground. So you can only imagine how dangerous it is for an air crew operating hundreds of feet above a crowd, providing timely intelligence and safety to the officers below. That activity will never be tolerated in the city of Los Angeles, and we will always seek to take effective prosecutorial action after arresting those suspects. We want to thank the district attorney for pursuing felony charges in the cases presented today, along with their partners at the U.S. Attorney's Office. These crimes don't advance any cause or further any message at all. What they do is endanger the lives of our officers, harm our communities, our small businesses who are desperately trying to recover in a very challenging atmosphere, and our civic institutions. There was some discussion about the historical buildings down here that have sustained serious damage, and it's just not going to be tolerated in this city. It is not going to be tolerated. I want to commend our detectives, our partners in law enforcement, who are working tirelessly to investigate these cases and bring justice to our city. We remain committed to ensuring Los Angeles is safe for all, and that includes those that want to come to Los Angeles and legally protest in our streets. We will facilitate that to the nth degree and make sure that they have the right to express themselves and express their First Amendment rights. Thank you.
All right, we'll take questions now, and then we will have Maria Ramirez, our Assistant District Attorney, offer remarks in Spanish, and then after we're done, she can do one-on-one interviews with the Spanish media. Yes?
Yeah, so as of June 7th, LAPD, I believe, reported that there have been about 575 arrests. Have all those cases been over to your office, and will you prosecute them all?
So to the extent that there are hundreds of arrests, some of these arrests, a good large number of these arrests in Los Angeles City will be misdemeanor prosecutions. The Los Angeles City Attorney's Office handles almost all of the misdemeanor adult prosecutions in the city. A lot of those misdemeanors can involve curfew violations. They can involve failure to disperse orders that were not complied with. I know that the city attorney's office last week brought 14 prosecutions. I am sure that they have hundreds of these under review. In the district attorney's office, we have either filed or in the process of filing 30 charges. You heard that the U.S. attorney's office has an additional 20 charges. We are getting as we get the charges, we evaluate them as quickly as we can, make sure that the evidence can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law, and then we bring the appropriate charge. We anticipate that happening for, as you heard from law enforcement, for weeks or months to come. Yes. We'll go here and then we'll go back there.
Okay. This might be a combined question for you and the U.S. Attorney. It seems some of the assaults on officers are being charged federally, some are charged state, and then in a case like Palermo, there's parallel tracks. Can one of you just explain, I guess, like the threshold as to what is causing something to be federal or state? Because, they've charged guys in Paramount, right, allegedly threw Molotov cocktails at sheriff's deputies, and that's a federal case, and you've got this firework case involving the LAPD. That's you. So just can you kind of just walk me through why some are going some way, some are going the other?
There are certain charges that are actually the federal government has a certain type of charge that would be more appropriate for the facts involved, and sometimes it's the state and local district attorney's office, and sometimes even the city attorney's office that has both jurisdiction and the appropriate charge for the facts that we are presented. Law enforcement is working in a unified way. So very often, if they bring a case to the U.S. Attorney's Office and they have an appropriate charge, they will go forward with that charge. There are situations where, in the Palermo case, for instance, there's an overlap, where the types of criminal actions that he has committed are both federal violations and state violations. You will see those cases being somewhat rare, where you'll have, in essence, parallel tracks that will go on with a particular case. Most likely, for instance, the misdemeanors that we were talking about a minute ago, whether they're failure to disperse, failure to comply with a curfew, those are inherently local and state charges. Again, you'll hear Mr. Essayli talk about certain charges that can be brought in connection with a civil disturbance, and I'll bring him up here in a moment. But again, we will try to find the appropriate charge for the crime that's been committed. Mr. Essayli.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's really a case-by-case basis, and we consult with our partners and the district attorney, of course, when appropriate. But when we're dealing with explosives, Molotov cocktails, arson, those are federal charges, and they carry significant penalties in federal prison. And so we want to take those federally to reflect the seriousness of the conduct, especially when the targets are law enforcement. That's really what ATF does. That's why ATF is here. They specialize in explosives. They have that expertise. And then as far as the other cases, it's really going to depend. The looting, depending on the facts of the case, we might be able to take that federally as a Hobbs Act robbery. But we have additional things we need to prove that the DA might not have to prove. So it really depends on the strength of the evidence of the case and what the facts are. But again, we're committed to filing the most aggressive charges we can to these violent actors. And same thing, normally assaults on local police officers are not a federal crime, but when you have a civil disorder, when you have riots, they become a federal crime. So we want to take some of the more serious assaults and highlight the federal government's commitment to protecting local law enforcement. That is something the Attorney General herself has made a commitment to and wants to make sure that we are being aggressive and going after attacks on federal law enforcement. And the majority of our cases filed are either attacks on federal agents, which we have jurisdiction over, like the military personnel that were spit on, or the rocks being thrown at Border Patrol or ICE officers, et cetera. So it really depends on the case.
Yes.
For CHP, first of all, you mentioned the idea that you impounded a number of vehicles where people were out there either driving at your officers, doing burnouts, whatever. How many vehicles actually have been impounded at this point? And are you investigating these individuals to see if they've committed other crimes so where you can go beyond a 30-day impound, possibly a civil declaration that this is a nuisance, the vehicle can be taken away and destroyed?
So the exact number, I believe, is 6. We've been down 6 vehicles and a motorcycle. As far as the second part of your question, yes. We're also going to, when it involves street racing or sideshows, which that is basically committing, it also involves a state referee. So we have to go use a state referee to take their vehicles from them, and we're in the process of doing that right now.
Question also for Mr. Essayli or for Mr. Hochman, either one. Are you doing deep dives on these people you're arresting to find out what is their background, if they have prior misdemeanor and or felony arrests, and you're going to use that for enhancements if you convict them in the terms of sentencing? Is that possible?
A couple things. One is at sentencing, that is all taken into account by the judge to determine what the appropriate sentence is. When we're giving you the potential sentences here, there's the maximum sentence. So obviously a judge will look at their criminal history record and the facts of the case and make the appropriate sentence. The other thing my office is focused on is we're really focused on organizers, funders, and supporters of this violence. I'm not going to get into details on that yet, but one of the people we highlighted today was a guy who was handing out masks, face shields to rioters, and we are looking into who he was involved in doing that with and who paid for that. So we are very focused on looking at organizers and funders of these activities. And I'll tell you, a lot of the people we're arresting, they're not necessarily from this area. So there's a bigger story here, and I think that will come out over time.
And I will just briefly, in the last press conference when we announced charges against 8 individuals, one of them was a third striker. And the violent crime he's been alleged would be a third strike, which is why he was looking at 25 years to life as a maximum sentence. So yes, we do take those into account up front in deciding whether or not there are certain enhancements to bring on the state side. And Mr. Essayli's right, certainly at sentencing, someone with a long criminal history will most likely be treated differently by a court than someone with no criminal history.
You've gotten into something, Mr. Essayli mentioned it. He doesn't want to get too much into the idea of the investigation of funders. There are some 30 or 40 different organizations that claim they're in, quote, solidarity with the protests. Are you looking to see if these people are providing the people who are arrested or others with funding to actually promote these protests or actually commit these criminal acts? We're talking agencies and the people who they are, NGOs.
We're looking at dozens of agencies and NGOs, and not agencies, we're looking at dozens of organizations and NGOs. The IRS is taking the lead on that, and we are absolutely doing that.
What do you get them for? What's the IRS involvement on that?
The IRS, they specialize in tracing the money and finding out where it's coming from and where it's going. So the IRS, this is what they do, and this is what they are doing. And like I said, that's a long-term investigation, but we're looking at a lot of organizations and NGOs.
Federal conspiracy charges possible?
I can't get into what the charges will be. We're looking into it.
Sorry, before Nathan tags you out again.
Please.
Sorry again, Mr. Essayli, this question's for you. Can you explain a little more clearly the criminal I get I'm not trying to dismiss the context you put in with Oriana about what you found in his house, but the idea that giving away defensive materials is a crime is a little confusing to me, because I think you had said earlier the only people out there wearing masks or protective equipment would be involved in violent agitation. That's not entirely true. Like, members of the media wear gas masks covering these events. I tend to wear a gas mask covering these events. I don't like to breathe in tear gas at work if I can avoid it. So can you just explain a little more clearly why providing defensive equipment is...
You have to look at the context. He wasn't handing masks out at the beach. He was handing them out in downtown LA to people who were dressed similarly to those who are committing violence. They're dressed from gear top to bottom. They're covering their face. They're wearing backpacks. We've talked about what's been in the backpacks. You've got fireworks. You've got rocks. These weren't peaceful protesters. They weren't holding up signs expressing a political message. They were agitators, people who came to do violence. So you have to look at the context. There's no legitimate reason why a peaceful protester needs a face shield. If they're saying it's to defend them from the police don't attack protesters. They declare an unlawful assembly. They ask you to leave multiple times, and then they'll start deploying less lethal ammunition, projectiles, gas. But that's not peaceful protesters. You're at that point, you're a rioter, or you're in violation of state law because you're somewhere you're not supposed to be. I know why the media does it, because you're covering the riots, so I understand why a media person would need that. But people on the street don't need a face shield.
We'll take a couple more questions.
Question for Mr. Hochman.
Yes.
On June 9th at 11 p.m. in Little Tokyo, there was a man behind a metal dumpster and a canopy that was set on fire using a mortar launcher to fire at the police line. How do you plan on charging that type of crime?
So we would wait to the extent that that crime, the report of that crime and the evidence behind it is presented to a district attorney's office. we evaluate everything. We evaluate the quality of the evidence, whether or not there's footage for it, video footage. We'll look to see if there's any of that. We'll look at any witness statements that are provided.
I have it available to you, and I've given it to Chief McDonald.
Then Chief McDonald at some point will have one of his detectives present a report to the district attorney's office. At that point, we do the evaluation we do in every case, and we measure the type of evidence. Can we get beyond a reasonable doubt to prove the crimes committed, who committed the crimes, and then what exact crimes we believe we can successfully prosecute in court. So that'll be the normal way we go about it, no different for that particular case.
Thank you.
Any last questions?
Easy one,
We
promise.
have an easy question. Okay, we're going to end with an easy question then.
Stunning, right? It's either for you or Chief Hamilton. Just the way you were describing the Rubio case before, it sounded like guy sets fire, allegedly, cops and firefighters respond, guy throws fireworks at them, allegedly. Do you guys believe he was luring people to be attacked, or it was just kind of a series of events that happened that way?
So I don't want to comment on the specifics of the case. We know kind of what the intent was in terms of deployment of those very dangerous fireworks. And again, as our chief has said, as Chief McDonald has said, these fireworks literally can kill people and cause life-changing, debilitating injuries and grave bodily injury. We take all of those cases very seriously. I'm not going to comment on this specific case at this time as it continues under investigation. But rest assured that when all that information is presented to the district attorney's office, we will seek the maximum consequences in that case.
And then I'll add just very briefly, and that's in the court of law is where you're going to get all the facts fleshed out. That's where we argue our cases in the court of law. Today, again, we are giving very general highlights of cases for the public to understand what charges individuals have been charged with. Also making it very clear to the public and to potential criminals that these are the charges that they could be facing if they choose to engage in this criminal conduct. So let me stop right there. Let me invite Assistant District Attorney Maria Ramirez up. She'll give remarks in Spanish, and then we'll conclude.
Buenos días a nuestra comunidad habla hispana. Estamos aquí hoy para anunciar cargos adicionales que han sido presentados a nuestra oficina en relación con las protestas de inmigración que han ocurrido en las últimas semanas. Queremos agradecer nuevamente a los cientos de oficiales y alguaciles de agencias en todo el sur de California y en otras partes que han protegido nuestras calles y mantenido a Los Ángeles seguro. Sin importar a la hora, día o noche, estos oficiales y alguaciles se han puesto en peligro al ser llamados a garantizar que las protestas fueran ordenadas y pacíficas. Hay una línea clara y distinta entre la expresión legal y la conducta ilegal. Nuestro trabajo como fiscales es asegurarnos de que aquellos que participen en la violencia y la destrucción rindan cuentas por sus acciones. Que esto sirva como otra advertencia para que quienes rompen la ley, la tecnología está de nuestro lado. Vamos a investigar las redes sociales, examinar grabaciones de cámaras de video y pedir a las personas que proporcionan fotos de sus teléfonos celulares para construir un caso contra los criminales. Otras agencias como la Oficina de la Fiscal de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles, así como la Oficina del Fiscal de los Estados Unidos, también podrán presentar casos. A partir de hoy, nuestra oficina ha presentado o está en el proceso de presentar hoy casos contra 30 personas en relación con las protestas de inmigración. Entre esos casos se encuentran Adam Palermo, de 39 años, con los cargo de felonía por asalto con un arma mortal o un oficial de paz, un cargo de felonía por incendio provocado y un cargo de felonía por vandalismo. También tenemos un caso contra William Rubio, de 23 años, con 2 cargos de felonía por asalto a un oficial de paz, 2 cargos de felonía por usar un dispositivo destructivo para dañar o destruir. También tenemos un caso contra Terrell Tillis, de 30 años, con un cargo de delito de posesión de un arma de fuego por un delincuente, un cargo menor de dar o recibir un cargador de gran capacidad. También Antonio de la Rosa, de 44 años, un cargo de delito por disparar un láser a una aeronave. Y finalmente un cargo contra Eddie Lee Baldwin, de 39 años, con un cargo de felonia por robio comercial en segundo grado. Se espera que presenten casos adicionales a la Oficina del Fiscal de Distrito para su consideración de presentación. En algunos casos, las personas que fueron arrestadas han sido citadas y liberadas. Esos casos aún no se han presentado. Muchas gracias.
And thank you all for being here today. Again, if you want a one-on-one interviews, you can do them afterwards. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, how about you?